for your insights. Next up, we are going to explore the ways to achieve scalable business value while exploring the agentic paradox of why more autonomy demands more control. Please welcome Vice President Strategy and Market Development at Qlik, Josh Good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Hello, everybody. May you live in interesting times. Don't we live in interesting times? Like, that's, I think, one of the most exciting things to be living in. The other thing to know about that phrase is that's actually an ancient Chinese curse. But it's not an ancient Chinese curse. It's actually misremembered as that. It's actually some guy, Joseph Chamberlain, who kind of made it up and said it was that in the 19th century. You can always count on the British to, misremember things and make things up. So hallucinations in these times are not anything new. We're continuing to be along that approach. I think they're just getting the slides up for me. That's okay. I can talk without slides. I can keep you from lunch. No, I won't do that. So my name's Josh Good. I run our technology ecosystems and our strategy at Qlik. I normally just say I'm from Vancouver, but I'm actually live in Victoria on Vancouver Island, and you can, as Canadians, I can tell you where I really live. And I grew up just down the street in Ottawa, and it's really great to be here with a bunch of fellow Canadians during these interesting times. We've made a huge amount of progress around AI, but we have a long way to go. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this agentic paradox. And I was looking back, if you came last year, thanks for coming back. I talked last year about getting AI done right. And I looked back at that presentation. I mentioned the word agentic twice in that presentation. And I think one time I was talking about a customer service agent. How quickly things have changed. We now are moving forward into this agentic world. We saw a really interesting presentation there from Loblaws and talked about how electricity was not used correctly or took a long time to get value. We're seeing the same thing happening here. A little interesting, another tidbit while we're talking. One of the major new leadership roles back when electricity came online was the CEO, the Chief Electricity Officer. A Chief Electricity Officer. So, what does that mean for you? Well, your grandkids, if you're a CDO, they probably won't have the same job as you. We are evolving so quickly. We are using new technology so quickly, and it's really interesting about what that's forcing us to do. And we're seeing this play out like we've seen it play out many times again, so we can look to history to it. There is a tension and a pendulum between centralization and decentralization. We need to make sure that we move back and forth in that pendulum. And if you've been in technology for a few years like I have, I graduated 2 years ago, honest, from university. You've seen that play out where, everything's, we're going to build the big stack. It's going to be all centralized. Everything will be centralized. It's going to be great. We're going to be more agile. We're going to decentralize. We'll move it out to the edges of the business. It's going to be fantastic. Did you see the mess we created, but we moved everything out to the edge of the business? We need to re-centralize everything. Oh my gosh, they're so slow. We can't do this. We got to move everything back to the edge. We've seen this go back and forth. Is this familiar to people? Yes? Okay, I'll stop beating the point. The interesting thing about this is we're seeing this play out now in AI as well. There's a huge need to centralize what you're doing. There's a huge need to make sure you have the control, the data sovereignty, to make sure you control those costs. The costs can run away very quickly on AI. But you absolutely must be decentralized in order to innovate. If you don't have those centers of innovation happening in your organization, then you will be left behind. And you will be left far, far behind because it's just moving so fast. You can't catch up. So you need to move quickly. You need to centralize. And we're hitting a point where everybody's using AI as well. Come on, go. There we go. 88% of employees are using AI at work right now. I tell my team, if you're not using AI, or it's not the first thing you reach for, you should be fired. You're not doing a service to the business. There's no shame in using AI. Remember when you used to write an email with ChatGPT and you'd be like, I didn't write it with ChatGPT, I didn't want to tell anyone. And now it's more like, you didn't write it with ChatGPT, what's wrong with you? It's kind of like, the old online dating. If you're old like me, you remember you met the person online, that's kind of creepy and weird. And now it's like, you didn't check them out online? That's kind of creepy and weird, right? Same thing has happened with employees. Everybody is using AI. We're using it in our daily lives. We're using it to get our work done more effectively. We're using it to communicate. The challenge, though, is that we're not seeing the value yet. Most enterprises, only 95% of enterprises are not seeing ROI on their AI investments. So there are 5% who are seeing it. Most of the ROI is still hitting personal productivity. It doesn't actually bubble up yet, and it's difficult to measure at the enterprise. We kind of intuitively know that there's a good thing happening because we're experiencing it ourselves, because everyone here is part of the 88%, I hope. Hope there's no one here not using AI. But we're not actually getting that into hard numbers, enterprise of value. We are seeing benefits, though. The hierarchies are breaking down. Old hierarchies and ways that were slowing us down, those are breaking down. Agents are coming to fruition. We're having execution and empowerment is outpacing policy, which is becoming dangerous, but we're counting on our fellow workers to do the right thing, and by the vast majority, people are. We're understanding the pitfalls. We're understanding where the dangers lie. AI literacy has come up quite a bit. So we're in pretty good shape. But that pendulum, it's still swinging back and forth, and it's impossible. And it's swinging back and forth faster than it's ever swung before, to the point that it's an impossible equation now, because you need to have, it's almost like a singularity. You need to be completely centralized and decentralized all at once. And so what I say to you is there just has to be a better way. We need a new model in order to be able to advance and move forward in this new world where you need to be centralized and decentralized all at once. And that's about having integrity at the core, an integration spine so you can innovate at the edge. And you need to orchestrate that all at once. You have to be able to walk and chew gum. This model will enable you to be able to make sure you're meeting those regulatory requirements, make sure you're de-risking your organization. And when I say de-risk your organization, I don't mean don't do things. Sometimes the not doing is the biggest risk. But also will make sure that you can allow your entire workforce to reach its full potential and also bring back value to your organizations. We've actually built this out into an entire model at Qlik, which are the 12 trends across the industry. We do new trends every year. And this year, we called it DARE, Intelligence Grid. It's kind of cool sounding. The product marketing team worked on that, a member of my team. And we talk about data, agents, roles, and execution. There's a QR code in the corner there. I encourage you to scan that and download it. And now I'm going to change the slide. Don't worry, I left the QR code there, so you still have time to scan it. And I'll build out what this looks like real quickly. So actually, I'm going to go build out the whole thing so you can take a picture of it, because I know somebody back there wants to take a picture of it. So we have innovation across data, agents, roles, and execution. You have an entire interoperability grid to make sure to connect that to your centralized core of integrity. And by structuring things like that, by admitting to yourselves that you will not have full control and you need to trust the edge, and admitting to the edge that they will not be successful when you're operating at the edge. Without that core foundation, you'll be much more powerful. I don't have time to get into all the details today. Scan that QR code. It's a really great piece of writing and research that we've built around this, and it will frame the way you can move forward in your organization, regardless of the technology that you use. Whether you're using Qlik, which would be great, I have to tell you, you should use Qlik, but really, you need to use all the technologies to bear. This will work regardless of the technologies you're working with. The thing you got to remember, though, is when you build this framework out and you're looking at all those technologies, is there's a bit of a catch. Is the clock keeps resetting, right? Technology is changing. We're changing so quickly, and I love this expression is things are changing faster today than they've ever changed before, and today is the slowest day that technology will ever change again. Hold on to your hats, folks. We're at the beginning of this, right? We keep seeing this reset and reset and reset. We saw this with agents. We saw this with Gen AI. We saw this with AutoML. We keep going. If you go back in time, you keep seeing that happen. And look at what's happened with the new frontier of generative AI. Remember how, all we talked about was Gen AI. Everyone was going to be a prompt engineer. Who here is a prompt engineer now? Does anyone know a prompt engineer? Right, that was going to be oh my gosh, I was telling my 10-year-old, I'm like, you need to be a prompt engineer when you grow up. You'll be in the best shape ever. That is your future. And then I put her to bed. I woke her up the next morning. I was like, don't be a prompt engineer. It's passé. You'll sound like you're out of date. It keeps changing like this. And we see that with what's happened with Gen AI and now with Agentic AI. If you're not familiar with the differences are, Gen AI does a really great job of producing new content for you. It will help you do that, helps you build your emails, it will respond to you. Agentic AI, it will take the action. It will give you suggestions. So, Gen AI talks, Agentic AI walks. Not literally yet, but don't worry, the robots are coming. So, with all of this going on, we live in great times, right? In really exciting times. Technology is not the barrier. I hope I've convinced you that. There's so much tech out there, and through this event, technology is not the barrier. But what are the 95% doing wrong then? Why are we not seeing the value that we're getting from the amazing things appear in the enterprise to give you all of that value, all that potential, all that value you get in your home life, so you can go out and you can, get the right recipes, order your groceries. I actually texted that to my wife. I'm like, this is awesome. We are now only shopping at Loblaws, and we'll just have it listen to our dinner conversations, and it will send us peanut butter because my kids won't eat anything else, and it will figure that out for us. But this is amazing. So we ran a study at Qlik, and what we found was data quality and data access is what's holding people back. The integrity of the data and the speed and the costs is holding people back. And then the gaps in the governance and security is preventing a lot of organizations from fully being able to take advantage of the technology out there, of the AI potential that they see out there. And so you end up getting faster, better emails and nicer PowerPoints. But you can do so much more if you fix that foundation. And what you really need is something different. You need a new model to think about how you manage your data estates and how you move forward when you're dealing with AI and your technology stacks in this new world. The first thing is you need trusted contextual data. You must have data that you can trust, and you can trust it. And that doesn't just mean someone told you can trust it. You need to be able to prove it. Not only to yourselves, but you actually need to, very soon you'll need to be able to prove it to regulators, to your own AI systems. You will need to be able to prove that. And have the context in there that the data is used appropriately for what it's needed for. You also need to control costs. Has anyone here got a runaway token bill yet? Has anyone here, I don't get those because I have limits on my token consumption, which means on the 8th of the month, I'm pissed off every time because I've run out of token utilization, and then I pay for more. You have to figure out ways that you can control your costs and get that value out. And making those incremental decisions continuously, whether it's structurally with the technology that you pick and use and invest in, or also the road signs along the way so you can make that decision, not after the fact on whether it was worthwhile, but in the moment as you're moving forward. And then the last thing is, the only thing I know for sure about our AI journey, where we're at, is the AI you're using today will not be the AI you use tomorrow. You have to be able to pivot and adjust to everything you're doing. What you're doing today, the model you're using today, is the best model ever, except for the model that comes out tomorrow. The data you're using today, though, is going to be key and foundational to what you're doing. So let's see how that's looking in action. So, in a new world here, when we think of our data and analytics stack, I love that I got a precursor to this just in the last presentation, is we're moving from a total dashboard, question answer type scenario to a more chat-based LLM generated scenario. But there's a really key difference here when you move into the agentic world. In the agentic world, it isn't just a chat bot. It isn't just something that answers your questions. It's something that proactively tells you what to do next, and maybe before you even ask the question. So it will tell you that things are so bad, you just need to work on your resume. Or things are so good, here's what you need to do. Go skiing. The answer is always go to skiing. Or more likely, and more business-oriented, is this is this issue, here are some options to solve the problems, here are the risks and the benefits of those options. That's where we're going with our data today. And now the thing to remember with this is it's not just agentic AI you need to make all of that work. AI stacks and builds upon itself. Think about your predictive AI. Some people call that traditional AI, right? Very simple predictions, regressions, auto ML, machine learning. That type of AI is still foundational to making the progress that we're talking about here. You then need to build generative AI on top of it so you can understand and interact with it, because it's way easier to just tell it what to do. I'm finding I'm doing voice to text way more often when I'm using Claude now, and it just understands my ramblings as I talk around in a circle, and then it comes back out and helps me. And then you have Agentic on top of that, which enables you to take those actions, get those recommendations, and interface with all the other opportunities you have. And we've seen this play out with Qlik. Oh, I went too far. There we go. Seen this play out with Qlik's technology. So we started out with Insight Advisor back in 2019, which was a chatbot capability that interacted with analytics. Really cool, really exciting, not very smart, kind of unimpressive today. We've improved upon it quite a bit, but back then it was cutting edge. We then added, we did COVID, so we had a little gap there. Then we added unstructured data in 2024 with Qlik Answers. So that brought a whole new level of context to what you could do with your data. You now can see your unstructured data. I'm not talking about structuring data from unstructured data. I'm talking about actually dealing with documents and the context in those documents and combining multiple documents to get answers. It was like having Cliff Clavin, sitting next to you, for those of you who are Cheers fans. Always knew the answer and always knew where it came from. And then finally, this year, we've combined the structured and the unstructured into an agentic framework where you can not only get the answers, the context from the unstructured data, but also take action on that to go forward. And that's what at Qlik, we've built up, and I'll tell you a little bit now about how we're doing that with our technologies, and how our technologies are a little bit different. But keep in mind, this framework is something that applies universally. You just have to figure out how to do it with whatever technologies you have. So you need to achieve with AI. You need to make sure that you have trusted contextual data and insights. We can help you do that. You need to accelerate your AI with cost efficiencies. You need to understand where your costs are coming from and where you can get your efficiencies. And you need to be able to adapt that AI with openness. Now, this is the other 5%. Right? These are the companies that we're working with who are achieving this. So you probably recognize some of them. And they're getting real ROI from this by using these types of frameworks. I picked two out that I kind of like. One is Hydro North. I thought it was kind of funny being Canadian, and they do nothing with electricity. They're actually a company down in South America that they do paints and coatings and so forth. The interesting thing that they did to accelerate their AI journey is they built an incredibly robust foundation of data. And by making that investment strategically, they were able to see massive gains in their pipelines, but more importantly, they can run predictions on top of what they're using now, and that accelerates all of their meetings, all of their decision-making, and then they're able to take out costs out of their business, get more efficiencies, because they built that foundation and then applied AI on top of that foundation. There's another small company I wanted to talk about called Ingersoll Rand. You might have heard of them. They're you think your data's messy? you ain't seen nothing. They have done so many acquisitions. That's part of their model and the way they drive their business forward, that they had to build this AI factory in order to be able to consume all of the different businesses they have and really understand what's going on in their overall business. So they have an intelligent automated workflow that gives them that helps them develop new pipelines and new data movement. Then they are able to bring that through into a conversational AI-powered analytics so that they can interact with that data, and they put that all over a self-service governed framework that is monitored as well. Net, that's pretty cool stuff. But net, they're saved 20,000 hours a year. Think of what you could do with 20,000 hours in your organization. Right? That's a lot. That is a lot of death scrolling that you can do on Facebook. Or you can apply it to maybe providing better customer service, innovating, and so forth. This is the kind of power you can get when you really think about and embrace the ways that you can use AI both at the core, with control, and then pushing it out to the edge. So, how do we actually do it at Qlik? What are the nuts and bolts of that? Because I've made a bunch of promises. Let me deliver on those promises in the next few minutes. We build trusted data products. That gives you the trust in order to be able to work through with the data and push it out into AI with confidence. We have an analytics engine, which is highly efficient to give more context, and then we provide an entire agentic experience. The really interesting thing about the trusted data products is it's more than just, I trust it because someone told me to. It's more than I built this pipeline, it's robust when I built it, and it's fragile, so I haven't touched it, so then I don't worry about it. The interesting thing is these curated, ready-to-use governed data sets have a trust score. They have a trust score for AI on them. You actually get a real score there, and you can say, this is how much you should trust it. There's 7 factors for the trust score for AI, 5 factors for the regular trust score, and that tells you the various things you can trust, how recent the data is, how useful the data is, how many errors are in the data. And you know what? No one has perfect data. It's fine. You don't need to score 100% on this test, but you need to understand what that data is so you can trust it, or how you can trust it and how you can't trust it. We also have an analytics engine that's the core of what we've done. It's been around actually since the starting of the company. It predates the internet, and it has been innovated and innovated on, but it still has the same core, which is it understands all data from all directions at all times, which means that the AI you're using understands all data from all directions at all times. And it was built back in the dark ages in the 1990s, so it's highly efficient at managing that data in memory, which means it's highly efficient when it comes to token consumption when you hook it up to AI. You get this major amount of context in there, which enables you not only to do that efficiently, but to be able to understand things that would regularly be missed with a query-based capability. So you can ask multiple questions at the same time, like what things did your customers buy? What did they not buy? That's all answered with a single question, not with multiple queries running in the back end. And ultimately, what this means is when you're using an agentic system, is you get about a 90% reduction in token consumption. And then last is the adaptability. Being able to use open frameworks. I do spend a lot of my time thinking about how we're going to interface with the other technologies you're using. You should spend a lot of time with any of your vendors asking them how do they interact with other vendors. Because I know one thing for sure. There's not a single person in this room who uses one piece of technology to do all their work. There is no one item to rule them all. Think about how you'll interface, how your agents will interface. Do you use MCP? We use a lot of MCP in order to interface, to give that full experience, but you don't have to do it through our interface. You do it through whichever interface makes the most sense to you. And then the last thing is it needs to be possible. So we're in Canada. At Qlik, we invested quite a bit in Canada. We have a talented workforce throughout Canada. We have a major R&D center in Ottawa. We have a whole bunch of partners. And we also have a sovereign cloud here in Canada with a Canadian region as well that is just launching now. So that means you can move your data into our cloud with confidence. Think about how you're going to move your data into the cloud, because that is where you're going to get a huge amount of value out of AI, because AI is happening at the edge in the cloud. You can do it on premises if you need to do it, and there are good reasons to do that, but the fastest move to value, of course, is you need to be able to put it in the cloud. So, we live in interesting times, don't we? We have a paradox here when it comes to AI and comes to agentic. How do you make sure you get that control at the center when you can have the flexibility at the edge? This is how I recommend you do it, is by trusted contextual data. Think about cost controls, and it's not about saying no, it's about spending your money wisely. Cost controls are not about reducing your budget, it's about getting more leverage out of your budget. And then know that no matter what you're doing today, you're going to need to flex. So plan for the future with open architectures that integrate with new technologies so you can pick up the latest model when you need to. You can pick up the new technology, or when the new regulation comes out, then you'll know how to deal with it. Again, my name's Josh. I shall just go to this one. My name's Josh Good. I'm from Qlik. I'd love to talk to you more. There's my tag to my LinkedIn if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be here all day. And thank you very much for your time and your attention.